guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you've all been well. So today's video, I'm going to first address, yes, my hands are orange. I started self-tanning and I kind of don't have it mastered yet. And I tried to like tan the back of my hands and it went completely wrong. So yes, my hands are orange and looks absolutely crazy, but that is not why we are here today. Today I'm going to do my first anti-haul video. If you guys are not familiar with them, they're created by Kimberly Clark. I will link her channel down below. Basically, it's just the opposite of a haul. I'm going to be telling you the products that I am not buying, why I'm not buying them, whether it's the color scheme, whether it's the price, why I'm not into it. And I'm pretty excited about it. I actually have a lot of opinions and I've actually came up with like a good sized collection of makeup throughout the years that I can kind of balance like what I need and actually what I can totally skip on, and I thought I would share those thoughts with you guys today. So I have a bunch of things to talk about, so let's just go ahead and get started. I'm also going to say that I am like a small YouTuber, so I have no affiliations with any of these brands. Everything that I'm about to say is completely honest and just from a regular consumer standpoint. So if you are in love with these items, don't be mad that I don't like it. I personally just like, maybe it's the price, maybe it's just compared to other things that I have in my collection. I don't necessarily need these products that I'm about to mention. Just don't want them. They're just not doing it for me. If they do it for you, that's totally awesome. If you have the product, that's cool too. Let me know below if you have it and what you think of it. But yeah, just take this with a grain of salt. Take it lightheartedly. I'm just gonna tell you what makeup I'm not feeling right now. Okay, so the first item I'm gonna talk about is the Morphe and Jaclyn Hill collaboration, her palette. I will insert a picture of everything I'm talking about here. And if you guys follow me on Snapchat, I will insert my Snapchat name. You would know that I did try and get the palette, but the palette released when we had just like moved into our house, so I did not have internet, so I was trying to do it like based off of like the cell phone service of my phone, which is not good here, and I wasn't able to get the palette. So since then, I was pretty bummed then. I was like, wow, it sold out in 43 minutes. Like the hype was real. They should have bought more palettes. But now that I've kind of like done without it and watched every single video featuring her palette, I'm just not completely sure that I need it. Yes, it's a beautiful palette, yes, it's warm, and yes, she reformulated and spent so many years working on it, but I just don't know if it's something that I don't already have. And if we are all being honest with ourselves, I'm sure you probably have something similar to it already, unless you are just getting into makeup and need a standard warm neutral palette. But for the rest of us who have been here a minute, it's not really that unique. And actually, if you cover up like the purple and blue shades on like the bottom left corner, it's kind of basic. Like I was saying, you guys, like I'm a Jaclyn Hill fan. Like she is like my fashion like icon. I love everything she wears. But I don't know, I've been living without that palette and I haven't really been missing it. I have the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I have the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. I have my custom Z palette that I picked out each shade that's in it. So I kind of feel that I don't really need to buy it, and I think I'm gonna save my $40. But if you have the palette, let me know what you think down below. But yeah, something, I'm not sure if it's a straight anti-haul because I was going to buy it. But you know, I've been living without it and I don't necessarily think that I need it right now. The next item I want to talk about is the Violet Voss and Nicole Concealo palette. I'll insert a picture again. And you guys, this is just like Jaclyn's palette, but it's smaller, but it's more expensive than the Morphe palette. I don't have anything against Nicole. Like I think like one day, like someone reposted her on Instagram and it was honestly like overnight homegirl became famous. I don't follow her or anything like that. I don't know anything about her, so she seems like really sweet, but this palette is a smaller version of Morphe and Jaclyn's collab, but it's more expensive. So I'm skipping on that either. Like I said, I do not need another neutral palette. If you're picking it up, if you're her biggest fan, totally let me know down below. Like I said, I have nothing against the girl. I just don't need that palette in my life. The next things I want to talk about are Marc Jacobs' new palettes. So if you don't know Marc Jacobs, I hate my hands, you guys. Like I have to like bleach my skin. I have no idea. Like washing my hands is not working. But Marc Jacobs came out with a bunch of new palettes. I will insert them all up. And they are just really like slim palettes, but they retail, I think they have 7 shades, but they retail for $49. And like I was saying, like with all these eyeshadow palettes, like nothing is exciting to me anymore. I have like a few things on my wish list that I think I'm gonna do like a makeup wish list video. But all these neutral palettes or all these palettes that are coming up, like yeah, they're pretty, but do I need them? Like I could do so much more with that money. Let me put that money in savings. Let me create a CD with that money, because like all these palettes are like 50 bucks, 50 here, 50 there, and that adds up, you know? So Marc Jacobs palettes, they're pretty. Haven't tried them, not going to try them. They're not really my cup of tea. The size seems kind of cool though, like super easy to travel with, but I'm skipping, I just don't need it. Okay, so the next item I want to talk about, you guys, the Kim Kardashian contour sticks. I feel like I could go really deep into this one, but I feel like you guys are just gonna all give me like the dislike button, and I'm not here to like have you like everything, like kiss my ass, but I'm not gonna make enemies if I don't have to. If you bought the palette, if you spent $48 on a contour stick and a highlighter little pen with this much product, and you love Kim, that's totally cool, that's awesome. I never for a second thought about purchasing those, and it's for a couple of reasons. Like, I'm not the biggest Kim fan, but when I think about like how much money she made off that launch and how many girls were just like, ah, she's the creator of highlight and contour, let me buy it. Like, you paid $50 to Kim Kardashian. She was standing in front of you in her $40,000 outfit, and you just gave her 50 bucks for some Walmart China quality contour sticks. Like, I'm trying not to be an ass, but honestly, you guys, like, let me recommend some contour products for you. You can go to Walgreens and pick up the Jordana sculpting sticks, and they are beautiful. They work super well as contouring, and I believe NYX has a few sticks that works as well. But you guys, $50 for that little brush for a Ziploc sleeve. No. If you guys have any thoughts on that, totally let me know below. Like, if you're like, hey girl, I bought the sticks and they are bomb, let me know that they're bomb, because I've heard so many mixed things, and I'm not gonna hate you if you buy it, but. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, I'm sticking with the Kardashians. Kylie Take Me on Vacation palette. That whole collection, I bought none of it. And honestly, when I was looking at it, like when it was first released, like last month, I was like, damn, these look really nice. But the more that I looked at the palette, the Take Me on Vacation palette specifically, it's almost a little too pastel, not rich enough shades for me. All the shades in that palette kind of seem like one dimension. I like creating like a lot of layers with my makeup look, and that just seemed just like too pastel, too light of a color scheme. Personally, for me, I was skipping. The value is pretty nice though, like $52 is pretty expensive for an eyeshadow palette, but when I was actually formulating the list for this video, I was like, okay, all these other companies are charging 50 bucks for like 10 shades, and Kylie gave you a lot of shades. I think she gave you like 15 or 16 shades. So, I mean, it wasn't necessarily a bad buy, just for me, not my cup of tea color-wise. I was interested in like the matte liquid lipstick set, and I was interested in the glitter glosses, but I really just don't need them. They weren't so like, oh my gosh, I needed them in my life. They just didn't do it for me. I also have a couple opinions about that wet set highlighter thing that sold for $62. You guys, I think that's kind of like my pet peeve. I'm kind of just like, what is she doing? Because I feel like she started off and she was like in between drugstore and high-end. She kind of had like her own indie thing going on, and then she releases a palette that's $62. Like, to me, that's kind of annoying. If you have a product line and that are all pretty relatively lower price compared to any other brands you see in Sephora, but then you drop a $62 highlight palette, like, what relation does that have to anything else in your line? There's nothing else at that price point. I don't know. I just didn't like it personally. I heard it was awesome. I heard it was like putty, but nah, girl. I don't need it. She can keep it. Glitter glasses look bomb, and I think those were like $15, so totally not bad, but still just not my cup of tea. The next thing I want to talk about is the Kat Von D Glimmer Eyeshadow Palette. So this is like it has a couple of different finishes. I think it has 4 different finishes. It's like shimmer, metallic, satin. It's different from her other Shade and Light palette that she released a couple years ago, and I actually used to own that one. Everyone was giving it so much praise because it was a matte eyeshadow palette, and back then I feel like matte eyeshadow palettes didn't exist on their own in that entirety before. But when she came out with that, everyone was like, damn, it's so great. So I bought it, and this was before like I started returning things. Now I'm on like a return kick. If I don't like something for the tiniest reason, return it, I want my money back. But back then I think it was just so gray, like gray, ashy, taupey-ness. Like there is just no va-va-voom in it. And I feel the same with this glitter palette that she's coming out with, the Glimmer, 2 M's, Glimmer. It's kind of just like eh for me as well. It's not exciting. I feel like they're just different formulations of nude shades that we probably all already have. It just doesn't do it for me personally. I wrote down the price. It is, her Glimmer eyeshadow palette is $49. It's pretty full size. It looks like a large palette, but it's just not my cup of tea. Like they look like pretty eyeshadow palettes. I'll insert like the swatches or what I can find online, but I'm just not gonna buy it. I don't need it. My next product is a Violet Voss Ride or Die palette. You guys, this palette is $75. That's a lot for a Violet Voss palette. That's kind of what I'm talking about when I said that, like, when I was talking about the Kylie Take Me On Vacation, where kind of nothing else is going for that price range, and then they just dropped something that's $70-something. Anyways, my deal with this palette is like I feel it's yellows, like taupey browns, and like blues. There's nothing else, and I actually think the variety of swatches speak for itself. Like all those colors look one tone apart. Absolutely does nothing for me. I have the Holy Grail palette. I think it's a beautiful palette. I don't think it's the best palette ever, but to create something like that just has absolutely like no variety or diversity, in my opinion, it's boring to me. I'm definitely not gonna buy it. I don't think anyone really needs it. I don't know, it's just a pretty lame palette in my opinion. The next item I'm going to talk to you guys about is the Too Faced Glitter Bomb eyeshadow palette, and this is $45. This reminds me a lot of the ones that Urban Decay came out with. I think they were the Moon Dust eyeshadow palettes. Now that one I had for a little bit because the colors were appealing to me, and then I returned it. I don't remember what happened. But for this Glitter Bomb eyeshadow palette, like the concept is cool. I like the idea of glitters that are pressed that I can just put on my eye and make it so easy. The thing I don't like are these colors. They are like Crayola colors, like on that pastel scheme that I never wear. Like my eyes today, they are pink, but they're kind of like a rich pink. There's nothing pastel, like baby colored about them. But I feel like that Too Faced palette just has colors that I just wouldn't wear at all. It's not my cup of tea, totally passing. Okay, so the next thing I'm talking to you guys about is the Huda Beauty Liquid Lip Strobes. If you guys aren't familiar, like this new holographic, like iridescent trend has been here, but I feel like Becca just came out with glosses that are kind of like iridescent as well, and these Huda Beauty Liquid Lip Strobes. Honestly, I feel like I don't buy a lot of high-end glosses just because like NYX butter glosses to me are really nice. So are Maybelline Elixirs. I think they're really nice as well, and those are both under $10. If I buy a lip gloss, I think the only one that I actually bought and love is MAC glosses, and then Bite Beauty has really pretty glosses as well. But this Huda Beauty Liquid Lip Strobe, like I love her liquid matte formula, but this strobe thing, I just don't need it. Like I can buy a lip gloss, like I was saying, at the drugstore for half the price and be completely satisfied. I don't need to spend almost $20 on a pink sparkly lip gloss. Like I don't. I mean, if I was sent them, you know, I would use them, but I'm not on her PR team though. I wish I was. Next item I want to talk about is a eyeshadow palette, and it is the Natasha Denona Sunset palette, and this retails for $129, and the color scheme is nice. Like I actually like how pigmented and rich they look, but I will insert a picture of the ColourPop eyeshadow palettes, and I will insert a picture of another Sephora collection eyeshadow palette that just dropped that I have my eye on. Yeah, so Sephora collection is like $68. ColourPop is like 12 or 14 or something crazy, and then Natashas Denona is $120 something. I actually saw a post where someone actually compared the amount of product that you get compared to like Urban Decay, Too Faced, blah blah blah, and they said that the Natashas Denona palette wasn't actually that much of like an expensive like ripoff like everyone was claiming, but honestly it's $130. You guys, okay, I don't even care. If I was a millionaire, I would not spend $130 on an eyeshadow palette. Let me tell you what I did. Let me tell you why I'm skipping and how I'm skipping on all these eyeshadow palettes. Let me show you. Okay, you guys, so this is my custom Z palette. It looks kind of messy right now because I did not plan on showing you guys. But you also know what the Modern Renaissance palette looks like, right? I just had it. Mariah takes all my stuff. But what I did here is I went to Makeup Geek or MAC, and when I did this, MAC eyeshadows were like $9 a pop. Now they are $6 a pop and super comparable to anything that you can find on the market. But I just created my dream eyeshadow palette, so I wouldn't have the need to invest in all these collaborations that come out from the beauty community. I have a few Makeup Forever eyeshadows right here, which are amazing, like twice the size as regular eyeshadow palettes. But I have some Makeup Geek down here, and then I have some MAC thrown in as well. And honestly, the variety that I create with this palette is unmatched to mostly anything that you can see on the market. But like I was saying with the Natashas Denona Sunset palette, it's like, you can see in here that I already have a lot of those shades. But at least it's something that I would use like if it was given to me. The Take Me on Vacation palette by Kylie, and I'm just using that because it's mostly, it's definitely not as rich as any of the other eyeshadow palettes that I'm referring to today. It's so almost like washed out and pastel. At least if I was given the Natashas Denona one, I would use it compared to the Kylie one, which just like isn't my cup of tea color-wise. So Natashas Denona, I just will not spend $129 on an eyeshadow palette. Not when I can pick up single shadows for $6 a piece and create my dream palette that I'm gonna use every single shade, you know? So Natashas Denona, pass. Okay, I'm going to finish this off with one more eyeshadow palette, and this is Makeup Geek in the Nudes palette. And this guy, I think it has 9 shades. It retails for $50. And to me, that's just kind of funny because I feel like Makeup Geek popped into the beauty industry by like, oh, we have matte quality eyeshadows at such a low price. But then they go and release 9 eyeshadow pans for $50, which is Urban Decay level price-wise, which is Too Faced level price-wise. And actually, it's almost more than that because with the Naked Heat palette, which I didn't even talk about yet. With the Naked Heat palette, you get a lot of shades. Like, you get like 15 shades for $52 compared to the Makeup Geek one where you get 9. So I don't really know what they're thinking with that. And I also feel like the color scheme for the Makeup Geek palette is just basic again. Like I said, if you are just getting into the makeup world, like a lot of these palettes, like maybe it would be a good investment because maybe you don't have anything that's comparable. But I think when we have been kind of pushed these palettes for a couple of years now, if you're gonna keep pushing neutral palettes on the beauty community, you have to at least add something, because this Makeup Geek one is, like, that's how I feel about it. It's just meh. Okay, you guys, so the last item I want to talk about is the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. This one, honestly, it tempted me a lot. I think I added it to my basket like once or twice, and then I just was like, no, Taylor, you don't need it. And honestly, it's beautiful. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it's beautiful. It's something that I would totally wear, but I feel like the only eyeshadow look that I can create with that palette is a purple orange eye, just like a warm orange eye, and warm orange red purple eye. And that seems like a lot, but honestly, whenever I look at that palette, I'm like, okay, what shade would I put in the crease? What would my overall look be like after I finish using that palette? And I just feel like if I used it 3 days in a row, my looks would look the same 3 days in a row. And to me, when I'm spending $52 on an eyeshadow palette, or when I'm spending more than like 20 bucks. When I'm buying any eyeshadow palette, I want diversity. Like, I want to be able to do a bronze eye one day, an orange day the next, maybe a taupe eye mixed with a little bit of purple or blue. Like, give me something. And I feel like the Naked Heat palette is really pretty, and I would totally use it like if I had it, but for me to spend my $52 on it, I already have all the oranges and reds in here. Like, compared with the Modern Renaissance palette that I have as well, I have that whole palette already. So if you have the Modern Renaissance, or actually if you bought Jaclyn and Morphe's palette, you don't need the Naked Heat. You do not need the Naked Heat and the Morphe palette. They are like almost one and the same. So, just my opinion. After all, just my little opinion. Okay, you guys, so that completes my first anti-haul video. I hope I didn't repeat myself, and I actually, let me repeat again, I have nothing against any of the brands or any of the products, like, specifically. Like, if they're your cup of tea, awesome. But these are just the reasons why me, am not purchasing them with my money. I would be so curious to hear your thoughts down below. Like, if you disagree with me, totally let me know. Like, you can say anything to me. It's all about how you say it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope I will see you in my next one. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye, with my orange hand. Bye. To Return to Home scents, which is like our home goods, because they're kind of like a lavender mauve fluffy pillow, and I bought them for the living room thinking I can tie in like kind of all the cool tones with my mixed metals, but